Okay, this is our 6.6 notes video, which is over the quadratic formula. Okay, so the quadratic formula, that looks weird, formula, can find the zeros of any quadratic. So we have already learned a couple methods of finding the zeros of a quadratic. In 6.2, I believe, we use the square root method. We can use that when b equals 0. In 6.3, we factored, and then in 6.8, we're going to factor some more. But 6.6 here, the quadratic formula, we can use it for any quadratic in the entire world. So whether it's factorable or not, whether it has a b value or not, we can always use the quadratic formula. So if you guys are struggling with figuring out which method to use, sometimes the quadratic formula might take a little bit longer, but it will always work. So you could just always use the quadratic formula if you want. So the quadratic formula is this big long formula right here. So it is x equals, and then on top of the fraction we have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So there are a couple pieces of this formula that we've already seen. We've already seen this b squared minus 4ac. That was our discriminant that we did in 6.5. We've also seen this negative b over 2a. That is how we found our the x value of our vertex in 6.1. So this is actually putting those two things together. It's going to help us find both zeros, if there are two zeros, if we have a positive discriminant, of a quadratic. And for our problems today, we're just dealing with problems where we have a positive discriminant. So if you guys remember back from 6.5, if we have a positive discriminant, we have two zeros, so that's what we're dealing with today. Before we move on to steps and actually using the quadratic formula, because this is such a long formula, it's going to make your life a lot easier if you have it memorized. The easiest way to memorize it is the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. As much as I would love to sing for you guys right now, no one wants to hear that. So I have a YouTube video of another teacher or someone on YouTube queued up so that they can sing for you. So this is the quadratic formula to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. Enjoy.
X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Okay, I hope the device audio of that recorded. If not, I'll link the video separately and you guys can watch the video separately. But it gets stuck in your head, but I promise having it memorized will help you. I've had it memorized since I was a freshman in high school and my teacher sang it to me, so I promise it'll help you to have it memorized. All right, here are steps using the quadratic formula. First step is just to plug things in. So we are going to rewrite our entire formula by substituting in our values for A, B, and C. So we are going to go do that on our first problem. So our first example here, we've got f of x equals 2x squared plus 9x plus 7. Our A value is 2, our B value is 9, and our C value is 7. So 2, 9, and 7, all positives to start out with this first one. I'm going to rewrite our formula so we know what we're plugging into. So it is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so now I'm going to plug things into that. So on the top of my fraction, negative b is going to be negative 9 plus or minus the big long square root of b squared. So that's going to be 9 squared minus 4ac, so that's going to be minus 4 times my a value is 2 times my c value is 7. So 4ac all over 2a, so that's going to be 2 times 2 on the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so that's step 1, is just getting everything plugged in where it goes. Step 2 is that we are now going to perform all of the operations under the square root. And so that is us finding our discriminants, because that's our b squared minus 4ac is everything under the square root. So I'm actually going to highlight this. We're going to go ahead and do all of this math right now. So 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times 7. We've got options. We could work that out piece by piece. So 9 squared is 81. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. 5, 6, 7, 8. 56 is 7 times 8. Yeah. And then 81 minus 56 would be 25. So we can work it out piece by piece like that. Or now that we've got a lot of things that we're doing, I usually just throw it in a calculator. So in a calculator, let's get split view here. I would do 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times 7. I would get 25. Okay. So now I've got, let me get back to my pen. Sorry, my app that I use here updated, and so I don't know where things are anymore. Negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 25. And I'm also going to do the 2 times 2 on bottom, just that super easy piece of math. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so that is step 2, is to perform all the operations under the square root. Step 3 is to now find the value of the square root. So I'm going to go ahead and find the square root of 25. So I'm asking myself what number times itself equals 25. I think we all know that the square root of 25 is 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. It is both positive and negative 5. Well, we already have our plus and minus in this fraction, so that's good. So negative 9 plus or minus 5 over 4. If you forget a square root or it's a bigger number that's not on your list of things that you have memorized, you can always use your calculator to find the square root. So in our calculator, we could do second square root is above the x squared button of 25, and we get 5. Okay, I think I'm done with my calculator for now. Step 4 is to set up both fractions. So for our, what we mean by both fractions is this is now where we are going to use the plus or minus. So we are going to set up 2 fractions. One is going to be plus, and one is going to be minus. So what we mean by that is we are going to now split into 2 problems. We are going to do negative 9 plus 5 over 4. We are going to do negative 9 minus 5 over 4. So we literally mean do plus and or do minus. So negative 9 plus 5 over 4, negative 9 minus 5 over 4. So we can go ahead and keep solving those. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4 over 4. And negative 9 minus 5 is negative 14 over 4. And then our last step is to simplify our fractions. And so that's step 5 up there. We've got a little example. What we mean by simplifying fractions is reduce them if we can. So like 12 over 16, we can divide both 12 and 16 by 4. So 12 divided by 4 would be 3. 16 divided by 4 would be 4. So that's what we mean by simplifying fractions, is reduce them if we can, divide them out evenly if they divide out evenly. So down here, negative 4 over 4 divides out evenly. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. And then negative 14 over 4, that does not divide out evenly, but I can reduce it. I can divide the top and the bottom of that fraction by 2. So negative 14 divided by 2 would be negative 7. And 4 divided by 2 would be 2. So I get negative 7 halves. So then that right there are my 2, or those right there are my 2 answers. So negative 1 and negative 7 halves. Negative 1, negative 7 over 2. So it's a lot of little steps, but if you do it piece by piece and you keep your work organized and you practice, I promise it'll get easier. We're going to do one more together, and then you guys can get started on your assignment and get help as you go. Okay, back of this, yep, one more. Okay, so our second example, we've got 3x squared minus 8x minus 3. So my A value is 3, my B value is -8, and my C value is -3. Okay, I'm going to rewrite my entire formula. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Promise the song will help you memorize it. Okay, so on the top of my fraction, I have -b. Well, -8 is actually +8. So -b in this problem is actually going to be -8 and become +8. Plus or minus the big long square root, b squared, that'll be -8 squared, minus 4. I'll wait for the clock to stop going. It's 5 o'clock apparently, according to the grandfather clock. Okay, -4 times my a value is 3, times my c value is -3. So that's b squared minus 4ac underneath my square root, all over 2a on the bottom of my fraction, so it's going to be 2 times 3. Okay. So now I'm going to do all of the math underneath the square root. So I'll do that -8 squared minus 4 times 3 times -3. Did I close out of my calculator? Yes, I did. Why do I keep doing that? Should figure this out by now. All right. So we need -8 squared minus 4 times 3 times -3. I get 100. Could also do it by hand. -8 squared would be +64, and then -4 times 3 would be -12, times another -3 would be +36. 64 plus 36 is 100. So either way we do it, we're going to get the same thing. 8 plus or minus the square root of 100 all over, I'm going to go ahead and do my 2 times 3 on bottom. That'll be 6. Okay, next thing we've got, square root of 100 is 10. So now I have 8 plus or minus 10 over 6. And then now I'm ready to split. So I'm going to split up. I'm going to have 8 plus 10 over 6. And I will have 8 minus 10 over 6. 8 plus 10 is 18. 18 over 6, or 18 divided by 6, is 3. That is one of my answers. And then 8 minus 10 is -2 over 6. -2 over 6. I can divide the top and bottom of that both by 2. So -2 divided by 2 is -1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I get -1/3. Awesome. That is all for 6.6.